In this lesson, I will show you how to deal with errors while importing your data from Laravel Excel. It's exceptions, errors, how to handle that, and what are the best practices. And it will be more about general Laravel and PHP exceptions, so lesson of that topic, than specifically Excel. But let's see what we have here in Laravel Excel. And I've created a separate form, so import errors with uploading the file. The route would be this one, import errors, which leads to controller method import errors, which is this. Separate Laravel Excel import class with parsing the data for timestamps, for date format, and it's the same code as our previous import date format, so nothing really fancy here. But let's try to input the file which doesn't have a proper format, this, so we don't cover any exceptions here. So let's see what error we have, or do we have an error. So let's upload the file that doesn't have proper dates, and we probably will get an error, right? And we don't want our user to get that error, so we need to catch that error. Of course, in PHP and in Laravel, traditional way to do that is try and catch. For example, exception, and then with exception we return back with error, something wrong. Right, and we return back, and with error then leads to our blade file, this section. So if there is an error, then we just show it. And let's see if it works. We just refresh the page. And it does work. It redirects us back with something wrong. So it's a better experience for our users. But it doesn't say anything specific about that error. What is it about? What's the actual thing to catch? Therefore, I would kind of advise to not catch general exceptions, but to catch specific exceptions. Let's get back to our error and let's see what it is. What's the actual exception class? Okay, so the class is invalid argument exception in Carbon, basically. It's just invalid argument exception, so we need to catch that one specifically. Invalid argument exception, this one, and then we can change the message to wrong date format in some column. Let's try it out, refresh, and this is exactly what we needed. Now keep in mind this exception, you need to dig deeper what kind of exception it is, because invalid argument exception is repeated throughout a lot of classes. If you just do this, PHP Storm will show you a lot of classes related to different packages and different core classes, so a lot of those things. In this case, it's a core PHP invalid argument exception, so it comes with a backslash up front. But if your catch doesn't work for some reason, so actually let's try it out. Let's remove this one, and this class will probably be recognized as some of the packages class, and probably it won't be caught, I assume. Yeah, exactly. So see, we have catch here, but it's not the same class, the same exception as this one. So actually, this one, it doesn't even click, so it doesn't even lead to anything. Or we can probably do this, and then it will be added to use. So basically, we may choose wrong exception, and it won't be caught. So beware of this one. And final thing I want to show you here is not only exceptions. So what if we try to upload totally different file, totally different unexpected file, so not even Excel, some, I don't know, some image or code or whatever. So let's take this SQL file, which is totally inappropriate, and we click import, and there is some kind of error and exception, and probably you would do this simple thing. So catch any general exception and then return with just general something went wrong, check your file. This, and you would probably expect that it would be caught and redirected. But no, still error exists. So the question why this exception isn't caught, because it seems like it's the most core exception there is, and there's nothing above or below it, so it should be caught. But actually, not all of the errors are exceptions. In this case, we have a fatal throwable error. An error is not the same as exception. Some of the errors, some of the mistakes, bugs, they don't throw any exceptions. They just error in PHP in the core. So you need to parse that as not as exception, but as error. So we probably should leave that. But on top of that, we should handle error, not only exception. So error is the core class for any PHP error, and that would be caught, and that would be shown as something went wrong. So by experimenting with different exceptions and Excel, the package Laravel Excel, and underneath there's PHP spreadsheet, uh, it throws various errors, various exceptions. So if you catch specific exceptions, then you may have more specific errors for your customers. So instead of doing, actually, what we can do here is parse get message. Let's try it actually. The error that comes from the core. So we upload the same SQL, import, and the error is this, which is coding error. It doesn't say much to your customer unless your customer is a developer too. But this one should be probably transformed into some human errors like wrong extension or wrong file or something like that. So if you catch specific exception, you probably could be closer to getting correct message to your users.